straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave. Name straight new wave.
4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. They're gonna deflect. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
The Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that Rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Cyberport is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Starting the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
And we're back, everybody, for some more playoffs here for Season 16 of CGL. Going over to Brigged Up versus T4T, a rematch here, Ray. We had seen them previously in October, and that was a 3-0 for Brigged Up. So this time, T4T, they've had their first round and second round already done and dusted, meeting these guys back for a very, very hotly weighted rematch.
Yeah, keep in mind this is the EU's Masters bracket. We also have to keep in mind it's back in October. A lot of things have changed patch-wise since it. Haven't been any like major patches since then, but a lot of minor patches that have kind of just added up. So it's going to be interesting to see where these teams go. Like back in October, Zarya was just OP and broken and was like the mainstay here, which Zarya's still good now, but just not as broken as she used to be. So I can't wait to see how these teams have adjusted and what T4T has learned since that previous loss and what they're going to do to try and remedy that.
Oh, for sure. And oh my goodness, I mean that series was also so intense as well, because Brigged Up looked like they were so in tune with the meta. They were so in tune with what was going on, especially over a month ago now, right? But as you mentioned, things have changed. Things are always ever changing, as well as we've been seeing from just our side of things. Constant shifts in playable compositions, constant shifts in what tanks are being run right now, DPS support on that front, right? So as you mentioned, Zarya, very strong previously, still has a little bit of that finesse as a character, as a tank to actually roll out on her if you need to and if you want to, right? Especially with the Reaper in tow or a Genji or what have you. But we've been seeing so much more Ramatras, we've been seeing some hazards, a lot of ball kind of disruptive compositions as well come through for CGL, right? So anything could happen here. T4T, this is not the previous meta they had sought out against Brigged Up. This is something completely or ever-changing and brand new.
Yeah, but before we get into this match a little bit more, we'd like to go over all the matches we have lined up for you guys today. Not only is this match going on currently on CGL1, but at the same time, we got the losers finals of the EU Open Division. WBZ Dream Eaters going up against MSU, currently live right now. So for you dual monitor people, pull them up on both of them. You're not going to want to miss either of them. Also later today, in between this EU and these NA matches, we will have the South American Grand Finals being English broadcasted, as well as in Brazilian for the South American language. So you're not going to want to miss that. And then obviously we got the NA Visored versus Atlas Kosoku and Tarnished going up against Primordius Rising. The first match being the Masters Losers Finals, and Tarnished versus Primordius Rising is the winners of the NA Open, I believe, losers semifinals.
Yes, absolutely. These are 5 matches. You mentioned the South American finals happening today. Again, in their native language and in an English broadcast. So accessible, so good for everybody. And again, if you're a dual monitor user, pull up Twitch twice, pull up CGL 1, 2, possibly even 3 at some point, and
Get them
get
drops
those
if they're
wins,
going
get
on.
yes, get them drops, get your CGL tokens, and all that jazz. But we are back over to Brigged Up in T4T. These guys are already getting their map in order. They're getting their bans out as well. So on that note, when we're talking about control, we're talking about the opportunity to go to a Lijiang and Ilios, and what have you. And those two, I would say, are probably the most popular. But of the two, we will see Lijiang Tower be the pick here for this first to 3 best of 5. And what a better place to start than Lijiang Tower?
Yeah, it's so funny. Ironically, my team's the only weirdo team who picks Oasis as their first
Oh,
map.
I didn't
but
even know.
but Lijiang Tower, it's just classic Overwatch. No surprise here. Basically, like between Lijiang and Ilios, like, do you want to run dive or do you want to run brawl? Whichever one you're better at, you're probably gonna pick. So, in this case, it is Lijiang Tower since October. Ram also got that 25 HP buff added, so Ram has been extremely popular, especially in Brawl Rush style compositions as this one. Malga's always still going to be very popular, especially since Malga's matchup into Hazard and Orisa only got that much better. So those and then Zarya is always going to be a popular pick.
Oh, 1000%. I mean, especially you're thinking about control center of all of the sub-maps of Lijiang Tower. That is such a brawl-heavy map, and especially if you have like 2 brawl teams going at it and you start off on control center, that's such a big advantage to whomever is whomever gets the round in their favor. And then you go over to Night Market, you go over to Gardens, and you have to kind of figure out if you want to continue playing brawl or if you want to change up a little bit here, maybe with more of a rush comp, maybe more of a dive composition. With Diva can also be in tow. She's been pretty popular as of late as well, coming back into the forefront out of a tank selection. But we have yapped enough about the possibility of going to Lijiang Tower, all that jazz. We gotta talk about what bans we're gonna see from either Brigged Up and T4T here. And of course, with Brigged Up being the higher seed of the two, they're gonna have that first ban under their belts. And again, they're walking into this, I believe, as the first seed of the entire division. They have ideally a straight shot into grand finals. So all they have to do is take this ban phase seriously and get this 3-0 win against T4T.
Yeah, a lot on the line as the Cass is going to be that first ban, which, I mean, Cass always going to be popular, especially in the brawl. That stun with the flashbang is just very effective against especially like Tracers and Genjis of the sort. Not sure that's exactly what we're going to run here, but Cass has just always been a popular main stake pick, especially on Lijiang Tower. So the question is, what does T4T look to ban in response? And is the Wrecking Ball? So my guess is they've played them before, which we know they have. So that they know to expect some Wrecking Ball, and they're going to ban that out.
Well, it's very smart because Brigged Up banned Cassie with the intention of playing Wrecking Ball without having to deal with Hinder or anything like that. Especially Cassie, of all people, can really put put Wrecking Ball in a really sour spot. But T4T recognized that immediately, like, oh, you want to try playing ball here? Not gonna happen. You're going to play a brawl. You're going to play some sort of dive, but not with Wrecking Ball in tow. And I love that decision from T4T. Speaking of our teams, let's get into our starting rosters at the same time. Brigged Up being the first seed, let's see them come up on deck here. We have Mikey, Shadowy, one of our very own. We have Hamble Saws, Vincent, and Horse Boy 23. Can't wait to see these guys come back. We already saw them previously in the regular season, in the mid-season. Now, this is their chance to get their ticket into grand finals versus T4T, who, of course, we're going to come up on deck now.
Yeah, so that T4T roster looking like Nen, Penachism, Rose, Tomy, and Bluey. As we talked about previously, Brigged Up, that #1 overall seed, previously beat T4T 3-0 just a little over a month ago. So the question is, how will things change? How will teams adapt? How have teams adapted to this new state of Overwatch we're in, which hasn't changed a lot, but it's still, even, back in October, it was fairly open. It's, in my opinion, even more open now. So a lot of different play styles can work in so many different situations.
Yeah, for sure. And again, this is a head-to-head. You have all of our 10 players playing in. Also, excuse me, it's Vincio, not Vincent. The little graphic, it was like a D to me, but Vincio coming in for the side of Brigged Up. T4T, as you mentioned, here are their 5 starting rosters, and I cannot wait exactly to see what they run, because you can see Rose has that JQ as her favorite character, at least in the tank side of things, right? And that could absolutely be a viable pick here for T4T, especially if you go into Legion Tower, into Control. Hamble Sauce, yeah, you might like Wrecking Ball, but not going to be able to play the character this time, having it, of course, banned out. On that same note, Nen, also on that Cassidy, not going to have the character to play with. But I feel like the Hiscan role is so easily fulfilled by so many of the DPS rosters. Sojourn, for example. We can also see a Freya kind of be played by both at times. Things like that, right? So not too bad to miss out on the Cassidy, especially because Soj, I feel like, is really in her bag as a character at the moment.
100%. There we go, folks. It is the winners finals for the EU Masters division. Who's going to punch their ticket to the grand finals, and who is going to hope to find their journey to the grand finals via the losers finals? We are about to find out, as we are starting on Legion Gardens as our first submap, which that one's definitely has the ability with a lot more open space and air for the Perplexity to play dive. But as it sits, we see both teams currently locked in on playing the Ram Brawl, which is no surprise here, especially given the amount of Symmetra we've been seeing, especially in OWCS, and this is EU, who love their Symmetra. It wouldn't surprise me if we're going to get both those players actually stay on it and not be swapping to a Tracer.
Especially if you're able to set up on the objective with Symmetra early, right? But we do see Shadowy backing up, going to be going over to Reaper instead. So it's going to be Fallen actually going to be committing to the Symmetra and trying to set up on this objective first before Brigged Up are able to do so. 3 turrets, 1 goes down, 2 and 3. There they all are, set up on the other side of this wall, making sure that if Brigged Up walk into this, they're going to be peppered in with extra damage output and a slow effect that T4T do not, that Brigged Up do not want to deal with. So Hamble Sauce goes to the right side instead. Now committing the Nemesis form onto the opposition. Shadowy in the backline finds Catboy on that Sojourn, not able to slide out to safety, not able to get carried, or not even carried, excuse me, cared to stay alive in the engagement. Now we go for a teleport, T4T going across, but they get interrupted again by Hamble Sauce's Ramatra. The fight is still ongoing, mind you, Ray, after losing 1, but finally both Lucios being traded out, but the point is in favor of Brigged Up for now. Bola shot already online though.
Yeah, it does seem like you got to move in now and quickly if either side of T4T. The numbers are not in your favor. They're going to go ahead and put down that Photon Barrier, which is going to force players to back up, and they might be able to flip this point.
They should be able to, but thankfully the touch comes in from the side of Brigged Up. They don't want to lose a point quite yet. They're already a quarter of the objective in their favor. Bullet shot committed onto the Ramatra and the Lucio. And Tommy, unfortunately, not going to stay alive any longer, as, you know, you were the recipient of that bullet shot full force. And they actually held the point, now going over 35%.
Yeah, and that was a long, extended fight where basically both the DPS were able to throw in ultimates. So we're pretty much evened up. I will say, though, man, Hamble much further along has this annihilation, while Rose lagging behind, so that could be the big advantage Brigged Up's gonna have in this fight.
It should be looking to slow effect already up put onto Tommy, and they know the annihilation is already online here. Nemesis form committed first, a continue rush in the small corridor space, and you know this nice small area is so good for an annihilation, for a Reaper, for the entire composition of Brigged Up. What a strong and quick team fight.
And you got them to commit Kitsune Rush from Bluey, so all things considered, it's actually a pretty decent trade, 2 for 1. So we're going to have Death Blossom and Sound Barrier online, but now this is where T4T has to be able to push their advantage with their own annihilation.
They should be able to Rose away 5% way to her very own. Tommy comes in with a very early and aggressive Sound Barrier engagement tool. The defensive mechanism from Vincio is responded with another Sound Barrier as well from Brigged Up. Bola shot again from Mikey, committed, but doesn't find a kill. So Shadowy needs to pick up the pieces and find the 2K with the Death Blossom in the backline of Bluey and Fallen. And while Rose was hell-bent on trying to get rid of Hamble Sauce, that is unfortunately not going to result in a fight win here for T4T, as pretty much Brigged Up take a 100% to 0.
The fact that Hamble was able to live in that team fight on that Ramatra, they're putting so much pressure on them. And the thing was, he was taking a lot of attention away from the team. So then Shadowy's able to get a lot of value out of that Death Blossom, just clean things up. So Brigged Up looking very good so far. Just by not using the Symmetra, they've been able to get a lot out of their Reaper as we head to Night Market for the next one. The big question to me is, on this map specifically, do you look to keep the Sim just given, you know, the strategy just to get on point and hunker down? It's going to be a lot harder to push into this point because there's just not many angles of engagement to get onto this point.
They gotta make it work, though. They have to. Being one down on a round like Lijiang Tower, the advantage is so in favor of whomever is in that advantage state, right? But at the very least, there's a Hail Mary of the fact that we're not on Control Center quite yet. You don't have to play a committed brawl. It's a little bit easier to play on Night Market, right? Or excuse me, on Night Market here, right? So
yeah, and Rose also went over to the Zarya as well, so that's a nice little wrinkle that you're gonna have to deal with your Hamble. So you just gotta manage that charge on the Zarya. What a great boot from Vincio.
Beautiful boot from Vincio. Very slow-paced start, I will say here, Ray. They're taking their time, and that kind of became the downfall of Catboy, who wasn't really able to engage on that venture. And then suddenly Vincio is just kind of farming these environmental kills, as you should on Lucio, but it's quickly reversed by T4T. They get the 2-for-2 trade-off, so it's a 3v3 on the board here, but Tommy and Rose having minimal resources, of course, no bubbles, and likely no speed boost either, just kind of forced to back out or die fast.
And again, you know, they're getting good trades, but they're just not able to clean things up in the end, our T4T. Again, a lot of charge was given to Rose on the Zarya. So they're going to be able to build up to a Graviton Surge relatively quickly, but Bluey is slightly ahead in the ult charge in the Kitsune Rush, so this might allow T4T to get aggressive and try and get one down early and clean up this fight before the Brigged Up gets one.
Yeah, for sure. This should be a good fight here at the Elite for T4T, but you're walking into Mikey's bullet shot, which again, so strong, and it's coming from the back. They're not even weary of it, but the Suzu comes through from Bluey. Unfortunately, that power output, the damage output from Mikey is just so strong, and guess what? Annihilation refreshes that armor, refreshes that Ramatra to get that damage advantage back into the fray here. Bluey teleports in towards Tommy, but Tommy was already going down, and then you separate the Kiriko from the Zarya, meaning Rose is again all by her lonesome. T4T having the grab and rush this next fight, though.
Those are going to be big tools of engagement, but Horseboy in the meantime has been able to hold on to their Kitsune Rush. They're at least going to have that. Vincio's still 10% away from the beat. I don't know if they're aware of that. I'm assuming they're just assuming he has it, so they're gonna have to deal with that with the grab.
Well, here comes the Graviton Surge, and the Kitsune Rush is coming through. Horseboy not going to be able to see the fruits of his labor. Well, of course, that Kitsune Rush on the field here, but Shadow will be able to pick it up anyway. Hamble Sauce finally going down for the count to that high-powered Rose, that high-powered Zarya. Vincio decided, you know what, we're going to hold the sound barrier, and Tommy gets a 2K in their own right. T4T finally getting a little bit of leverage, a little bit of a break in the objective.
Love that grab coming out from the side of Rose, and you got Horseboy to use that Kitsune Rush, so you put yourself in the best possible situation. You're gonna have your sound barrier for the Death Blossom. They put themselves in a very favorable position.
Oh, they sure did. You hear that sound barrier coming in from both Tommy and from Vincio, right? Kitsune Rush comes through from Bluey. The advantage is definitely in the favor of T4T. They lose Bluey, but they at least have the Kitsune Rush benefits, but losing out both your supports means that you don't have any healing output, so it all comes down to bare fundamentals, and you can't do that when there is just a Ramatra in your face. There is a bullet shot on your backline. There is just everything that Brigged Up is doing in their power to stop this point from getting any more progression. 43%, 44% is all T4T are able to make for themselves. We're back at 95.
Mikey is farming on this fray. It feels like every single fight they have a bola shot, and that is all she wrote, folks. Brigged Up takes map number 1 in pretty much domination and convincing fashion.
Again, don't forget, it might have been more than a month ago, but these guys did 3-0 T4T. Things have changed.